Well, as you're passing this around, how was the text setting exercise? It was fun? Yeah? Yeah? What, so in the spring, we will do an art song exercise. You will write a song in the spring as your midterm, basically. And so we'll talk more about text setting in proper, but I wanted to warm you up to it. What did you, I kind of prefaced that assignment by saying, please think about, how you use these chords expressively. What are some ways that you thought about using those chords expressively, or just any harmonies expressively? Yeah.
I guess using the very specific subdominants, like they're all kind of different. I guess going to a piano, being at a piano is helpful for that.
Uh-huh.
Like actually just hearing them rather than just hallucinating them.
Yes. Eventually, your hallucinations become more vivid.
Yeah.
And so you just know that 2 feels a certain way and 6 feels a certain way, and they have feelings attached with them rather than numbers.
Yeah. The other thing was using different I can't talk.
That's fine.
Same
All right.
chord, different look.
Different voicings?
Not just different voicings, but inversions, repetitive.
Yes. Inversions are technically a kind of voicing. You can think of them as you have the same notes but in a different order. They're just a more profound kind of voicing change because the bass note has changed.
Using different voicings to create certain bass lines or create certain soprano lines.
Yep.
There's a lot to it.
There's, even with this stuff, with purely diatonic music, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of expression and nuance. So let's sing it. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky because I've built in a few things that are designed to appear to break rules. And so I put at the top, look for unusual uses of tendency tones. So as we go through this, I'd like you to be thinking, where's the chordal seventh? Where's the leading tone? Is it being handled properly? I didn't know I could do that, sort of thing. Okay, so, but we'll just touch and feel this and work our way through. So just to double check everyone's fa, that word. Singers know this word. Fa, meaning voice type. So soprano, alto, tenor, bass, those are all different fa. It's a totally facht up word. Ha ha ha. Okay. So sopranos, just double check. 1, 2, 3. It's okay, that's fine. It's altos. Oh my God, so many altos. One of you is a lying soprano, okay? One of you needs to be a soprano. All right, tenors. 1, 2, anyone else sing tenor? Anyone else sing tenor? 3, okay, that's fine. Basses. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you will notice there is a low note in the basses. There's a low D. If you don't want to sing it up the octave. However, up the octave creates a similar fifth similar fifth with the soprano. So it's a fault, but I include it there. But I pointed it out to you, so it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to play through this real slow. Just sort of hum along. Okay. Okay, Now in rhythm, which will be a little faster, so all that distance, about like that. It's almost in 2. Okay, I'll play with you and then we'll do it a cappella. Ready? Okay, now once a cappella. Ready? Huh? Yeah, beginning. Okay. 3, 4. One more time. I'll conduct it in 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time with piano. Someone got stuck on an A and they're like, I can't do anything but sing an A. And that's fine. All right? This is tricky. I told you it was tricky because it has a whole bunch of tendency tones that are being misused. Okay, one more time. I'll play with you. Sing it out right. 3, 4. Beautiful. Great. Okay, what key are we in? C major. Do we start on C major? We start on 1. So what does that mean about the opening? Exactly. If you don't start a phrase on 1 or don't start a piece on 1, basically you should always assume ... It's starting in the middle of a thought, in the middle of an idea. It's sort of already in motion. So if this is C major, let's analyze this chord by chord. So I'm going to write it up here in this staff in treble clef. Sorry, you're in kind of, can you move over just 1? Can also turn this, I think.
I will move over 1.
I feel like this is the sort of case where it falls over and then Bard has to spend another $4,000 or whatever this is that they don't have. All right.
Lockout fees probably pay for it.
Huh?
All our lockout fees probably.
There you go. There you go. So, yes, George Soros, exactly. Well, they tried to get more money from him, and he was like, "They're not enough." Never mind. I'm gonna stop that thought right there. Okay, sorry. So when you're analyzing, you always want to start from the bottom and go up, and then write everything within an octave. So that sometimes means you'll write things out of order. So the lowest note is an F, right? Then we go up to the tenor. What's the closest C that's above the F? There's the C. And then write the alto, the closest D. Again, everything within an octave. And then the soprano is an A. So everything within an octave. This is I think the quickest way to just ensure that you have crunched all the notes down to their smallest space. Because once you do that, then you can work out its root position. So this is not root position, right? It's not a nice, neat stack of thirds. We have a major second on top. So the root position would be with the D on the bottom. So I'll just write that here in parenthesis, or in a different note head anyway. Tell me about this chord. What is this chord? Huh?
265.
Yes, it's so in root position, we can see that it's scale degree 2 in the bass, which means it is 2, and it has a chordal seventh. It has a seventh above the bass, so it is 2-7 in root position, which means it's in first inversion, which is 6-5. 2-6-5. So where's that chordal seventh in the texture?
Alto. No, that's the big tone.
It's in the tenor, exactly. So let's put a symbol around it. So triangle, I think I might have switched them up. I think traditionally the triangle is the leading tone, but it doesn't matter. In this case, triangle is our chordal seventh, okay? So next chord, we do the same thing, write it from the bottom up, bass, tenor, alto, soprano. Oh, hey, look, it's the same chord, different voicing. Same chord, different voicing. Okay, so we know it's the same chord. They're both 2-6-5. Now where's the chordal seventh? It's in the soprano, so it got passed upstairs. Make a little arrow like that. Okay, now this next chord. So write it from the bottom to the top. So here's the bass note, the E, then the tenor note. And remember, the E has to be the bottom note, so every other pitch I'm writing is going to be above that E, but the closest interval. So B, G, and C. Sorry, I should have done this in large note heads. Okay, so what chord is this? Yeah, this is a 1 chord with a chordal seventh. So this is our 1-7, that's the root position, so that means this is 1-6-5. Where's the chordal seventh in this chord? Yes, it's in the tenor. But wait a minute. What did we do with our last chordal seventh? It was in the soprano, right? The chordal seventh on the word that was in the soprano. We have technically moved to another chord, which means we ought to have resolved that chordal seventh. So what the hell, man?
Well, it's technically it's the same tone.
Yes, but I said you have to always have to resolve them.
In the same voice.
In the same voice, it has to resolve down by step. But it didn't. Cheat code. When you have chordal sevenths, the one instance in which you can get out of not resolving it is if you hang on to it as a common tone. So essentially we have, the way I like to think of it is it's sort of like diffusing a bomb, or maybe your friend is having a mild panic attack and you have them sit down and just calm down for a moment and just take deep breaths, and then they're feeling a little bit better. If you make the chordal seventh, which is full of tension and energy, just kind of wait a little bit, it loses its tendency tone tension. It no longer really needs to be resolved. You can only get away with this by common tone. So we're still dealing with it. We're still doing something to the chordal seventh. Either you write your friend's paper that they're having a panic attack about, or you just have them sit down and take a deep breath and tell them, your paper's not due for another week. You're fine. If my analogies lose anybody, just tell me. But essentially, either resolve it or common tone into the next chord. This is what is the note that it ties into? What is that note in that chord? It's a 1 chord, right? It's the tonic or, yes, but of the chord itself. What note is it? The root. The root. It's the root of the chord. So we essentially converted that chordal seventh into the root of the next chord. So it is a chord tone. It's not dissonant. It's not a non-chord tone. It belongs to that next chord. In fact, it is the note of that next chord. It is the one chord. Yeah.
Are there any like conventions about what the common tone would then be? Because this is obviously the root, but you could also have a 3 chord there where it's the no, not 3 chord. You got like a 6 chord there. So
Yep.
Like how does that?
It could be a 6 chord.
Is
It could be anything where that note belongs to that chord. If it was a 6, so if we went from 2 to 6, what would we be doing that's sort of odd?
Be swimming upstream.
We would be swimming upstream because 2 is a stronger subdominant than 6. That would be unusual. That would sound like... It sounds nice. It sounds like Vaughan Williams. This is a very sort of late 19th century, early 20th century kind of sound. In the 18th century, which is kind of what I've done here. This is a very kind of English Vaughan Williams-y setting, but I followed all the rules, I promise. I have to double check extra because if someone catches me breaking a rule and I didn't catch it, then my credibility's gone. Okay, so chordal seventh in the tenor. Does that do what it's supposed to do? Yes, it resolves down. So that one, problem solved. Chordal seventh fixed. Okay, so it resolves into. I'll just write this down. This is a 2 chord here, 2. So it's a 2-6. All right. Now next chord. So write this from the bottom up. We have G, B, and then 2 E's, which in root position is this. So what chord is this? Almost. So what note is 3? It's scale degree. So we're in C major, right? Should write that in, C major. The root of the chord is scale degree 3. So this is a 3-6 chord. What did I say 3-6 chords most often substitute for? Why? Which is what you said just a moment ago. You said it's 5. It's not really 5, but it's pretending to be 5. Why does this sort of pretend to be 5? Why does 3 get a pass? 3-6. Yes, and what specifically about those 2 notes? The bass, sorry, say again?
So it's the quint and the third.
The 5th?
And the 5th and the 3rd.
Yeah, so the bass note of the 3-6 chord is the root note of the 5 chord. So if I wrote a 5 chord next to it, you would see the bass note is the same, the 3rd is the same. The only thing that's different is that 6th up above. That's sort of our color note. So it is 3-6. We would write 3-6, but it is in a position that is sort of behaving like 5, which is why it can come after 2, like this. 2 is the strongest subdominant. So at that point, we should either go back to 1 or go to 5. But in this case, we go to like the weak ass, not even a subdominant. But we can get away with it because 3 is pretending to be 5. So just remember that. 3-6 equals 5. Anytime you have 5, you can sub in 3-6. Anytime you have 3-6, it basically sounds enough like 5 to pass as 5. Okay? All right, so next little bit. So we'll do the same thing from the bottom to the top. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. That's in root position, so that's scale 5, 7, exactly. So which voice has the chordal 7th? That's the F. Alto has the chordal 7th, so we'll write this. All right, so then the next chord, same deal from bottom to top. And we have a repeated note, so I can just do this, just for the sake of clarity. There's no 5th in this chord, but it is still 5, 7, right? We just excised the 5th, which you can do. You can toss out the 5th. What notes can you not toss out?
All the others.
Exactly, all the ones that I left. So the root, you need the root, you need the 3rd, you need the 7th. Otherwise, it is not any of those things. We don't know that it's major or minor, we don't know that it's 5, and we don't know that it's a chordal 7th. So where's the chordal 7th here? It's in the tenor. Now, notice the leaps that I have put in the tenor and the alto. What intervals are those? From the first beat of that bar, yond, and then M of it.
Talking about the F,
Huh?
You're talking about the F and the F,
Yeah, the F
octave.
to the B, and then the B to the F. What intervals are those?
B, do we have,
Yeah, diminished 5th here. And then what's the other one?
4.
What kind of 4?
What is that called? Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's the donkey sound. Or the European the European siren. Augmented 4th. Augmented 4th. So would I've gotten you in trouble for writing these intervals, right? How many people have lost points over writing a diminished 5th or augmented 4th? Yes, I want everyone to raise their hands. Come on, everyone, raise your hands. So why did I do it here?
It works.
Because I'm the boss. I can do whatever. No,
It's the same chord.
it's the same chord. This is what's known as a chordal skip. So the problem always, in terms of, let's say, preparing a chordal 7th, or preparing a leading tone, or really preparing anything, is when we move from one chord to a different chord. When we have the same chord established, basically all the notes have been found. Like imagine that you have to just pick this note out of thin air and land on it. Well, once you've found it, now your friend, the violist, can pitch match to you, or the cellist can pitch match to the violist, right? You've found the pitches. You don't have to find any new pitches. So it's what we call a chordal skip, which when you do as a pattern, what did I just write here?
Notes.
Notes, yes. It's an arpeggio. An arpeggio is a pattern of chordal skips. So an arpeggio is you're moving through the notes of a chord, but it's a chord, it's a harmony, and you're just arpeggiating those notes. It's a pattern, but they are chordal skips. Once you have found the harmony, you just skip around within it almost freely. Okay, so this is why when you have found a harmony and you keep that harmony, a whole lot of things are unlocked to you that previously might have been not allowed. Because, as in this chord, the first chord, the alto and the tenor have found those notes for us, and they sort of swap each other's notes. Okay. All right. So next chord. Let's go from the bottom of the top. The bass, the tenor, the alto, the soprano. This is root position. This is 6, 7. This is the theme for today. Adding chordal sevenths to everything. Everything can have a chordal seventh. You got a chordal seventh. You got a chordal seventh. You got a chordal seventh. Chordal sevenths are the best. They just, I mean, this just, so much better than, it's, yeah, this is fine. It's fine, but so much better. Okay, so what voice has the chordal seventh? Soprano has the chordal seventh. So what does she do with that chordal seventh? I didn't really hear what you said, but it had a tone to it that was like, excellent. So let's do this next chord. Bass, tenor, alto, soprano. This is not 6 anymore, right? This is a different chord. This is now 5, 7 in root position, which means this is 5, 6, 5. She has done the same thing that I showed before, where the chordal seventh gets diffused. It gets converted into something else, which is a chord tone. It is the root of that chord. It is the 5 of the 5 chord. So it's been diffused. It no longer has the tension that requires it to resolve. So now this is a 5 chord. That means how many tendency tones do we have in a 5 chord? 2, which are what? Leading tone, exactly. So where's the chordal seventh?
G.
Well, G is the root, right? G of a 5 chord, G is the root. So where's the chordal seventh would be? The alto, it's the F, exactly. So here's our chordal seventh. Does the alto, or sorry, the tenor, it's the tenor. Whoever said alto tricked me. Tenor, does the tenor do the right thing?
Yes.
That resolves down. Thank goodness. So where's the leading tone?
C. Bass.
Yes, C, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can do it. I just have to, I said C as in S-I, as in
Yeah,
B, just for those who don't know. So here's our leading tone. So what do you need to do when the leading tone's in the bass?
Goes up, resolves up.
Must resolve up, always, right?
Well,
Unless you teach the theory class and you can decide the rules. No. Unless what?
unless you get to another one. Wait.
So let's look at this next chord. So from the bottom to the top, we have B, E, C, G, which in root position is
Segunda.
C, E, G, B, which is key of C major. 1, 1, 7. Again, so much better. This just improves everything. It's like you put just glitter on it, or you know.
It's not second.
No, because we're in treble clef up here.
But the chord is second, no? It's 7, but it's second. Okay.
I don't know. Wait, what do you mean? You said second?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Second.
Second. I don't know what you mean.
You know, first, the second, the third.
Oh, inversion. The inversion?
Yeah.
Even further. So what note is in the bass? The B is in the bass, which means it is root, first, second, third inversion, which is 1, 4, 2. So where's that chordal seventh? Yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Second, I was like, I thought you meant like scale degree 2, but
Okay.
you're close, you're close.
Confusing English is.
I know, English is confusing. This is why, yeah.
Speak English, this is a good reason.
I think we'll probably
Yeah, sure.
not be speaking all, anyway, sorry. Where's the chordal seventh? It's in the bass. So we converted that leading tone in the bass into a chordal seventh. That's spicy. So we didn't really solve the leading tone's problem. We gave it almost more of a problem. But then what happened?
Resolves.
Well, yeah, it's down, so.
Then the chordal seventh resolved down. Okay, so in the next chord, pretty straightforward from the bottom to the top. This is a little offset. Oops, sorry. The process I'm going through right now, this analysis process, is how I want you to analyze pieces when we look at them. I'll give them to you with like empty staves underneath, and I'll want you to go through this process. You just look from bottom to top, what are the notes that I see here, and just write them in order. You'll find they're duplicates, they're doubled notes, but just kind of figuring out what are the chord tones at this exact vertical moment. That's how I want you to think. It'll be very tedious doing it this way, but then you get quicker at it. Okay, so this is, we write this in root position. What is this? This is a 4 what? 4/6, exactly. 4 first inversion. Okay, then this next chord, now there's nothing special here, right? It's just 4, there's no chordal seventh, no leading tone. Finally, something relaxed. Everything has had some tension in it up to this point. Okay, so now do the same thing from bottom to top. Bass note, tenor note, alto note, soprano note. Write that in root position. There's the root position. That is 2, 7. So that means this, what inversion is this? 2, 4, 3. Yeah, exactly. 2, 4, 3. Where's the chordal seventh? Do you have a question? Yeah.
I was wondering if in a chord the leading tone is also the chordal seventh, does that mean, because I know you have to resolve up and resolve down. So like,
If
does
the-
chordal seventh override?
Oh, like in 1/7.
Yeah,
Yes.
in the one chord
Yeah,
tone,
so
I was wondering, did
this-
this resolve down in that one because the chordal seventh overrides that?
exactly. So this is in the scale of C major. B is the leading tone, right? But that note is in a 1 chord. So at this moment, this B is in relationship to the C, which creates a 7th. And because of that dissonance that it creates, we resolve it down. But if that B was in a 5 chord, now it's functioning in this 5 chord as the leading tone, and then it has to resolve up. Okay, so this is not the leading tone in this chord. In the chord, it's not the leading tone. In the scale, it's the leading tone. Does that make sense? This is why I hate terminology. It's just, this resolves down, this resolves up. Same note. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you for asking that question, because there are so many subtleties to this language that it is easy to let things slide, but that's an important distinction. So when you have a chordal seventh in a chord, doesn't matter what that scale degree is, it's got to resolve down. Okay? All right, I'll just quickly, oops.
Wait,
Yep.
weird question. Can be chordal 7 can be same note as leading tone?
Well, yeah, that is, but not at the same
At
time.
the same time. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking. I mean, some reason. It's
Yeah, we haven't.
Huh?
I mean, here's an instance where it's kind of doing double duty. This 3/6 chord, it's kind of behaving like 5, right? It's sort of kind of 5, which means that this is sort of kind of sounding like a leading tone. But it's also, I mean, it's the third, but it's not 5, I don't know. You'll hear a lot of this in, say, Chopin. Here's a, sorry, I picked the wrong part, but there's a part that goes 3, 6, 1, 3, 6, 1, but it sounds like 5. They're very similar. So that's, I guess, kind of a case where you have two things at once. Okay. Only thing I think is important to put, there's no more trickery at this point, but just the end here. Yeah. So we have a C major chord. That's straightforward enough. That's 1. Then we have C, G, E, A. That is a 6, 6, 5. Here's the chordal 7th. Then same chord again. I'll write it out again just to be sure. C, A, G, and then another C. So I left out the 5th of the chord, right? It's another 6, 6, 5. Here's the chordal 7th. It was passed off. And then yet again, we have a conversion of that chordal 7th into a common tone, a chord tone in the next chord. Okay?
Are you just like allergic to resolving the?
In this instance, I did this on. I mean, what I like about this little bit of poetry is because it is suggesting kind of something that continues forever and doesn't end. So not resolving the chordal 7th or kind of delaying the resolution of the chordal 7th is in this case a kind of poetic allusion to the text, right? So it's a way, I just want to make sure you know that you can follow these rules precisely and make something that sounds kind of like music because that's where these rules come from. Last thing I'll just point out about that last chord. How did I voice that last chord?
You doubled the 5th.
Well, the 5th. So tell me about that. What's the deal with doubling things? What happens to a chord when you double a certain, huh?
Power chord? Power something?
Power, so
Power? I don't know.
power, oh, power chord.
The 5th.
Yeah, I've doubled the 5th.
It gives more sticker.
If I'm in root position and I double the root, how would that be different from this?
It's like this is the end. This is C.
Right, what are the, so in a major triad, the root is the root, right? We need that to know what the chord is. We need the third to really establish what, whether it's major or minor. Right? We need the root, we need the third. Do we need the 5th? No. So in a major or minor triad, the 5th is sort of the weakest, less essential, least essential interval in that chord, which essentially means that I have written the least stable version of this root position chord. I've made it less stable by doubling the fifth, which is the least important note. So if I had doubled, I'll just play you some different versions. Here's root position with root doubled, root position with third doubled, and then root position with fifth doubled. There's no rule here. That's why I don't insist that you voice certain chords a certain way, except to say that if you double the root, that's more stable. Double the third, slightly less stable. Double the fifth, least stable. Which is to say, it implies that something else is coming. When we talk about stability versus instability, the most stable event is an ending. Right? We're so stable, everything is fixed, you got an A in the class, you're done, it's summertime. Right? Less stable is, 2 weeks before the midterm. Least stable is 2 weeks before the final. Right? I'm making up allusions here, but there's something else that is coming that is of importance. So when I talk about stability versus instability, really the implication is something more is coming. Okay, any questions about this? Good? Great. Nice sight reading. Good job. I told David I'm making you do a lot of singing in here, and David Sitkowski. He was very happy to hear that. Let's talk about, so just a few review things. You've basically learned everything for the midterm. That's kind of it. There are iterations of these rules in different settings, and that's kind of what we'll do today. Just a reminder, the midterm is next Thursday. We'll have a review session Tuesday. There is an assignment for Tuesday. It must be submitted Tuesday. If it's not submitted by Tuesday, it's like 0 credit. So you got to get it in, because essentially I will go through it and do every exercise in class and just show you how it should have been done. Just because I want to make sure you have the information, that you're comfortable, you've practiced all this stuff. Let me erase all this. And Tuesday will essentially be a review session. Did I say that? I'm not sure. So, tonic, subdominant, dominant, tonic. This is another way to visualize this. Tonic can go where?
Anywhere.
Right? It can do anything. It's like the queen in chess. You could even put, I think that's the queen's symbol. No. It's like, no, that's the king is like this.
That's the king.
Yeah, that's the king. Yeah, so it's the spiky hat is the queen. Okay. So subdominant. Where can subdominant go? You can go to dominant, right? And to the tonic. And to itself, yeah, but in a specific order. So subdominant, and then let's just say weaker to stronger, right? We can do something like this. Right? You can go from a subdominant to a stronger subdominant. All right, so that would be, the weakest, because it's not a subdominant, but sometimes you can fake it, is 3. Because 3 wears all hats. 3 is super ambiguous. Then what comes after that? 6, then 4, then 2. Okay, and I wrote the major key versions, but it's the same in minor. So it'd be 3, 6, 4, 2 diminished. Okay, so subdominant can go to itself, to stronger subdominants. Okay, how about dominant? Yeah. And I make these two T's because essentially this is a resolved tonic. We have resolved to it. Okay? Where else can a dominant go? To itself, like what? Yeah, different inversions. We assume that we can go to different inversions with any of these, except what chord have I banned for now? Or what inversion? 6/4. Why 6/4? Why have I banned that? Yeah, it's unstable relative to itself. It doesn't want to be itself. It wants to be something else. So just remember, no 6/4 chords unless you are prepared to label them correctly, which I have not taught you. So if you want to jump ahead and do that and label it correctly, then I'll applaud you. Otherwise, I'll say wrong. Okay, so different inversions. You can go to any different inversion. And what are different dominant sonorities? Yeah, you have 5 and you have 7. And I hear I'm wrong. Yes, 3/6. Now, can you cadence? What's an authentic cadence? 5 in what version? Root position 5, root position 1. That is a cadence. So you cannot cadence with 3/6. That is a very unstable ending. That is to say, more is coming. Okay, and actually, that Chopin that I played, the ballade, it's the second ballade. It's a weird piece because it's in F major and A minor. So it begins in F major and ends in A minor. So it ends on 3. And so early on in the piece, Chopin has all these 3 chords early on to kind of acclimate our ear to 3, and then the piece ends on 3. So Chopin's sort of telegraphing where the piece is going to go. That's the kind of next level of thinking with this stuff. You're in the learning the grammar phase, but when you get into the poetry phase of this, that's how you start to think. So yeah, 3, I'll put it in parentheses, 3/6. And same applies to tonic, right? We have 1, obviously, and different inversions, of course, but then also 3, which substitutes for what inversion of 1 does 3 substitute for? Yeah, if we write a 3 chord, what's the root? Or the root of this is E, which means the chord it can substitute for is 1/6. Okay, so 3 substitutes for 1/6. Okay? Where can you not go? Yes, sorry, go ahead.
So we can substitute for 1/6, but it couldn't substitute for 1. Just
Nope.
making that clear.
It would sound so different that the illusion wouldn't make sense. I'll play you an example. Here's sorry, I don't know why I had to think about that so long. 5/7 to 1/6. 5/7 to 3. You could kind of hear it the subsequent times, but they're so similar. I'll play another version. They're very close. It's just, in this case, it's more obvious because the difference is on the top. I'll put it on the inside now. It's like your ear plays tricks on you. You want to hear the tonic resolution, but it's not there. Only can get away with that because of this phenomenon, these two notes in common. Music is awesome. So where can you not go?
The subdominant, unless it's a six.
Subdominant to what? What do you mean?
But we were breaking the dominant not go, right?
Yeah, where, yes, so where among these letters can we not go, not travel? Yes, we cannot do this. That is the one direction that's not allowed, except 5 to 6, which is what?
Receptive cadence.
Yes, which means it must happen where? Wherever an authentic cadence would have happened, right? You've had a, you know, right? We're expecting a cadence, and we have a wrong thing. Something happens that is wrong. That is the only place. So, you know, obviously, composers do other things, obviously. But you would not, for example, be able to do something like, yeah. So this is 5. What is this? Just write it from the bottom to the top. 6, 6, then 1. I essentially resolved it. So here, I'll play this for you. You have heard this before. You have heard this before, but this is not 6. We'll talk about this later. This is, all of this is actually 1. With a non-chord tone. Okay? So this is not 6. 6, 6. This is 1 with a non-chord tone. We'll talk about non-chord tones later. Only chord tones right now. Only things that belong in the chords. You have heard this, but it's not 6. Does this make sense? So this can't happen. This, because that's not what you're going to hear, right? What you're hearing is with an accident in the tenor section, which is where most accidents happen. Okay? Does that make sense? So the only instance that a subdominant can come after a dominant is as a deceptive cadence. 5, root position 5, root position 6. Make sense? Okay. Essentially today's kind of a review session, I guess. And looking at the clock, I'm going to jump ahead because I want to get to the thing that you know how to do, but we haven't actually practiced doing. So this chalk sucks. We'll just be in C major for, actually let's do A minor. So if we're in A minor, what is 7 diminished? What notes? G sharp, Yeah, G, I'll write this down here. G sharp, B, D. So this is 7 diminished. Can you write a diminished chord in root position, diminished triad?
No,
No, why not?
because it's not stable.
It's not stable, why?
It's a leading note.
Yes, I mean the leading tone is there, but there's something about the chord itself that makes it dissonant to itself.
It's the diminished.
The diminished fifth creates a dissonance with the overtones of the root. So you will never, very rarely see a root position triad. Root position diminished triad. So generally we write them in first inversion. Can you guess maybe why we wouldn't write them in second inversion?
Is it because second version's like unstable already, so that would just create even more instability?
It basically is for the same reason. If I write this in root position or in second inversion, 7 diminished 6 4. The problem with this is that we had a dissonance between an upper voice and the bass. Now the dissonance in here is between the upper voices, so we don't care. It's hidden, it gets masked. And then here the dissonance is again between an upper voice and the bass. So it's the same problem. It's kind of sort of the reverse. So the overtones of this D, the strongest ones are like this. So this overtone is conflicting with that note, right? So it's exactly the same reason. It's just kind of upside down, essentially. So almost never, very rarely. Unless, it's not even a cheat code. What have we been doing all day up here? It's our favorite chordal note. Chordal seventh. Add a chordal seventh and it makes it better. It's not even just that it sounds better, it actually smooths out that roughness. So let's do that here. So here's 7 diminished. What would be a chordal seventh above this? What interval is this from top to bottom? Okay. Yes, augmented second, but what's this interval as written? Because we want stacks of thirds, right? That's root position. Diminished seventh. So this is a 7 diminished 7. 7 diminished seventh chord. Okay? Why do you think this allows us, so we can have this in root position. This is fine. Why do we get away with that? Because nothing's changed, right? We still have acoustic dissonance here, and now we have more acoustic dissonance.
Because you're adding another voice, so to speak.
Yeah. What would that do? Have you rehearsed Beethoven 9 yet? Yes, you have. You know that I used to play clarinet when I was a kid. That was my non-piano instrument experience. And I played in wind band, and there's 25 clarinets and 2,000 flutes, and sometimes you're playing and you're like, I have no idea if I'm playing. I feel myself blowing air and I cannot hear anything. Yeah, orchestra people are like, oh yeah, Jesus. So that's called, it has a term. It's called wait, what was that? I want to hear.
I'm either always quieter or louder than everybody else. So.
Brass life. Yes, exactly. brass players have the cheat code, which is like you could blow everybody away. You are masking that dissonance because now there's more of it. So essentially the dissonance that would have been very obvious because of this diminished fifth is kind of, it's like you add more sriracha to your food because it doesn't taste very good.
Which could be like a deficiency in like having the right.
Huh?
It could be like an adrenal deficiency if you can't taste well, fun fact.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
But, you know, for example, you add more of something to kind of mask other things. So essentially, we cover it up. So a seventh allows you to have a root position 7 chord. So how does that mean we resolve this? It has 7, right? The leading tone. So that has to do what it has to do, right? It's in the bass. Resolves up to the tonic. Yeah, so we'll put that here. Here's our leading tone. It's in the bass. It's got to go up here. Okay? What else do we have?
We have the chordal 7.
We have a chordal seventh. What do chordal sevenths do?
They go down.
They resolve down. So whatever voice this is in, say it's in the alto, that chordal seventh resolves down. Unless, of course, you find some way to cheat. In this case, you kind of couldn't. I can't think of any off the top of my head because you couldn't go from a dominant to, say, a subdominant, which would give you scale degree 6. But in any case, it's just like any other chordal seventh chord. Exactly the same, only now it's a diminished seventh rather than a regular seventh. Okay, so now we just fill out the other voices. Now, there are a couple ways of thinking about this. This is fine. That resolution is fine. Traditionally, I'm just going to tell you this because that's the way it's sort of thought of. When you have a diminished fifth, that diminished fifth wants to collapse to a third. So if we have, here's a diminished fifth, this wants to become a third, like that. I'm not going to enforce this, but that is generally the way people think about this. If conversely, where is it? You have an augmented fourth. Augmented fourth expands like this. So typically, what you'll have in these chords, and I'll write this out again. We have a diminished fifth. We have a diminished fifth. That means this collapses down, and this also collapses down, which means we double the third of the destination chord. Okay? This is why you will not have a cadence with a 7 diminished 7. This is slightly less stable. This is a 1 chord, but we've doubled the third. This is not a cadence. Not a cadence. Okay? Now, I didn't do that here. If I had done that here, this would have gone up to a C. Either's fine, I'm just telling you. That's traditionally diminished fifth collapses, augmented fourth expands. It'll be more important in the spring that you follow that rule, so I will repeat it, but you heard it here. So let's do some different inversions of a 7 diminished 7, and they are all exactly the same as what you might think. Oh, I should write that out again, sorry. So Here's 7 diminish 7. What would be the next inversion? On the next note. Exactly the same, but you need to make sure that you include that diminished symbol, right? 7 diminished 6, 5, then 7 diminished 4, 3, and then this is where things get a little weird. 7 diminished 4, 2. Okay, let's resolve all of these. So chordal 7th, leading tone's in the bass, chordal 7th's up here. It's going to have to resolve to something like this, right? We might double notes a little differently, but that's how this resolves. Where does this resolve to? Yeah. Okay, now the same, if you have that G sharp in an inner voice, it could skip somewhere else, but in an outer voice, it has to resolve up. Okay? So we could resolve to here, or so this was root position 1, right? We could resolve to 1, 6, or to root position 1. Okay? So you have 2 options with this. 7 diminished 4, 3, where can that resolve? So the G sharp is going to go to an A somewhere, right? Really, we're most concerned about what the bass is doing. Yeah, it goes to C. Is there another possible option here? So this would be 1, 6. Or 1, 6, 4. I point this out to say, don't. Okay? You could go to 1, 6, 4. You shouldn't, because that is only used in very specific instances. We'll get into that later, later in the semester. But I put this here just to say, don't do it. Don't do it. Go to 1, 6. Okay? Just no. If you see any 6, 4 chords anywhere, just stop and do something else. So that means 7 diminished 4, 2. Where can 7 diminished 4, 2 go? All of these are by step, right? The bass is moving by step always. If we look at this, here's our augmented 4th that expands out. Bass goes down. Diminished 5th between D and G sharp. That collapses in, right? It's just in the word. Diminished collapses. Augmented expands. The only place that 7 diminished 4, 2 can go is 1, 6, 4. Which means don't do it. Not for now. There is a way you can use it, but it's such an what did I say about 5, 4, 2 compared to the other inversions? We have the different inversions of 5, 5, 7, 5, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, and 5, 4, 2. What can we do with all of these? Yeah?
First 3 can
Right, they can go between each other. It's like you have a subway pass. You can just go anywhere you want until this is the end of the line and the subway is shutting down. You have to get off the subway. So it's the same here, except the place where you get off is like the sketchiest part of town. And there's like no taxis anywhere, and you just like try to hide in the subway station. Don't take this line. Don't get off at 7^-4^2. Okay, not for now, not until later. We'll see ways that we can use 6/4 chords that kind of allow this, but it's always going to be in passing, going someplace else. You have a friend picking you up that's going to take you someplace else. Okay, don't go here. Don't go to 7^-4^2. Okay. Okay, now let's do something else. So now what's happened? We're in major. So what changed about this chord? What didn't change about this chord? The what?
The resolution.
Yeah, the resolution changed. We sharped the C. Right now it's a C sharp. We don't have to sharp the G anymore, right? It is automatically the leading tone. We don't have to make it the leading tone. But what about the structure of this chord? What has changed?
It's become half diminished.
What does that mean? Half diminished. Yes, you are right. But what is it? Yeah?
Oh, it's either only, I believe it's only the 7th is diminished, not the full chord. So the bass triad, not the 7, or it's the 7 isn't diminished and the bottom triad. It's only one of the two.
Yeah. So previously this was what interval? When it was an F natural from G sharp to F natural, that was it was a diminished 7th. Now what is it? It's a minor 7th. So if we write out these two structures, and I'm just going to write out the accidentals that I need in front of the note. When we say something is half, so this is fully diminished, this is half diminished. So we make the circle and we draw a line through it. This has 2 diminished fifths in it. Right? Diminished fifth sort of slotted together. This has a diminished fifth and what's that interval? Perfect fifth. It's a perfect fifth. So it is only half diminished. It means literally what it says. Fully diminished, half diminished. Half of the chord is diminished, the other half is perfect. This chord, both parts are fully diminished. Nothing changes about how it resolves. It's basically the same. There is only one tricky thing now that you're going to have to think about. I just made a critical error. What was it? It's payback time. Come and get me. All right, parallel fifths. So now you have to be really careful how you resolve this. So this has to, so with the diminished fifth, I said the convention is that, the diminished fifth collapses and the augmented fourth expands, and that will usually keep you out of trouble. But with a half diminished chord, it's really easy to get parallel fifths. So you just have to pay a little more attention. Does that make sense? Again, you're not really learning anything new. This is actually the only piece of new information, really. But still sevenths and leading tones and all that stuff. One thing that you might see, so we're in A major now, right? Now what is this?
No, it's just a fully diminished.
It is a fully diminished 7 in the context of A major. So the fully diminished 7 is a minor key chord. But it's very possible you'll see it in a major key. So here's in minor. Right, that's a proper resolution in minor. Here's the half diminished 7 in major. Very bright, brilliant kind of chord. Half diminished. And now here is the fully diminished 7 in major. It's so nice. Okay, it's just a little bit of extra color. This is what we'll call modal mixture later, borrowing from the minor in the major context. So if you see figured bass in a major key, it's very possible you might see something like this. Okay, 7 with a natural next to it, or a 7 with a flat. And that is basically telling you this is going to be the fully diminished version of this chord from minor. Okay, so that is this assignment. It is just a bunch of resolutions of 7 diminished 7 and 7 half diminished 7. And that is what you have to do. You've got to do it by Tuesday. I will resolve it for you in class, but you've got to turn it in on Brightspace. It's got to be there on time. You get credit for it. All right? And are there any questions? And that's it. That's tonal harmony. And the rest is detail. There's more details from here to the end of the semester, but that is diatonic harmony, essentially. All right, so if anyone needs to meet with me in office hours, yes? Great. Well, stick around. Let's chat. See you later.